Dr. James Riley had been stationed on the remote medical outpost of Kepler Station for 3 years when the distress signal arrived. The automated message crackled through the communication array in a language he didn't recognize, but the universal medical symbols were unmistakable. Someone needed help, and they needed it desperately. The ship that docked 12 hours later was unlike anything James had ever seen. Its hull shimmered with an iridescent quality that seemed to shift colors as it moved, and strange geometric patterns covered its surface. When the airlock hissed open, James found himself face to face with beings that defied every expectation he'd harbored about alien life. They stood nearly 8 feet tall, with elongated limbs and skin that resembled polished obsidian. Their faces were angular yet elegant, with large luminous eyes that held an intelligence James immediately respected. The leader stepped forward and spoke in heavily accented but clear English. "I am General Caney of the Valoran Empire," the alien announced. "We require immediate medical assistance for our princess. Your reputation as a healer has reached even our distant worlds." James felt a surge of pride mixed with apprehension. His work treating various species at this frontier station had apparently earned him recognition beyond human space. "Bring her to Medical Bay 2, he instructed. "I'll need to know her species' basic physiology." What they carried in was heartbreaking. The princess, who couldn't have been more than the equivalent of 16 in human years, lay unconscious on a biobed. Her name was Lyra, Caney explained, and she was dying from a rare genetic condition that affected her species' neural pathways. Traditional Valoran medicine had failed, and they'd traveled across 3 star systems seeking help. James spent the next 18 hours studying Valoran physiology, cross-referencing it with every medical database at his disposal. The condition was indeed complex, affecting not just neural function but the intricate bioelectrical systems that governed Valoran consciousness. Their minds operated on frequencies that human science was only beginning to understand. The breakthrough came when James realized the similarity between Valoran neural networks and certain rare human neurological conditions he'd treated on Earth. The approach was risky, requiring a delicate combination of human neurosurgical techniques and Valoran bioenhancement technology. "The procedure has never been attempted on a Valoran," James explained to General Caney and the assembled medical team. "But the theoretical framework is sound. Her neural pathways are deteriorating rapidly, and without intervention, she has perhaps 6 hours. Caney's luminous eyes studied James intently. "What do you require?" "Trust," James replied simply, "and access to your bioenhancement equipment. I'll need to integrate it with our surgical systems." The operation lasted 14 grueling hours. James worked with a precision born of desperation and dedication, carefully mapping Lyra's neural architecture while simultaneously repairing the damaged pathways. The Valoran technology responded to his guidance, adapting to his surgical approach in ways that surprised even the alien medical officers observing. Halfway through the procedure, complications arose. Lyra's bioelectrical field began fluctuating wildly, threatening to cascade into complete neural collapse. James made a split-second decision that would have horrified his medical school professors. He temporarily linked his own neural patterns to hers, using his brain activity as a stabilizing template. The risk was enormous. Human and Valoran neural architectures were compatible enough for the procedure to work, but different enough that prolonged connection could permanently damage both minds. For 20 minutes, James maintained the link, feeling Lyra's consciousness flickering like a candle in a hurricane, while he provided the steady rhythm her brain needed to heal. When he finally disconnected, both he and Lyra collapsed. James awoke 3 days later to find the princess sitting beside his bed, her large eyes bright with curiosity and gratitude. "You risked your mind for mine," she said in perfect English, her voice carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate in his chest. "Father wishes to speak with you when you're ready." King Aldrich of the Valoran Empire arrived the next day with a fleet that made James's jaw drop. 12 ships materialized around Kepler Station, each one a masterpiece of engineering that seemed to bend light around its edges. The king himself was an imposing figure, standing nearly 9 feet tall with ceremonial armor that seemed alive with shifting patterns. James expected thanks, perhaps some form of monetary compensation or recognition. What he received instead left him speechless. "Dr. Riley," the king began, his voice carrying the weight of absolute authority, "you have saved not just my daughter's life, but potentially the future of our empire. Lyra is not merely a princess. She is our next oracle, destined to guide our people through the challenges ahead." The king paused, studying James with eyes that seemed to see into his soul. "Your willingness to risk your own consciousness for hers has shown us something we believed impossible. We had heard that humans possessed courage and compassion, but we had not understood the depth of these qualities." James shifted uncomfortably under the intense gaze. "I was just doing my job, Your Majesty." "No," King Aldrich replied firmly. "You did far more than duty required. You showed us what it means to act without regard for personal cost in service of another's welfare. This is why I am making an unprecedented decision." The king gestured, and General Caney stepped forward carrying a crystalline device that pulsed with inner light. "I am appointing you as the first non-Velaran member of our High Council," King Aldrich announced. "You will serve as our empire's liaison to humanity and advisor on interspecies medical matters. This position comes with full diplomatic immunity, access to our most advanced medical technologies, and a seat at the table where decisions affecting billions of lives are made." James stared at the crystalline badge of office, understanding that his life had just changed forever. "Your Majesty, I'm honored, but I'm just a frontier doctor. I don't know anything about diplomacy or governing an empire." Princess Lyra spoke up from behind her father. "You know about healing, about seeing past differences to find common ground. You know about taking risks for others. These are the qualities we need as we prepare to make contact with the greater galactic community." King Aldrich nodded approvingly at his daughter's words. "Humanity stands at the threshold of a larger universe, Dr. Riley. Your people have qualities that could benefit all spacefaring species, but they will need guides who understand both human nature and alien perspectives. You have proven yourself capable of bridging that gap." James looked around at the assembled aliens who had become his friends and colleagues over the past weeks. Their faith in him was both humbling and terrifying. "I accept," he said finally, taking the crystalline badge. As soon as it touched his palm, he felt a warm sensation spread up his arm, and suddenly he could understand not just the Valoran language, but the subtle emotional undertones that gave their words deeper meaning. "Welcome to the High Council, Dr. Riley," King Aldrich said with what James was learning to recognize as a Velaran smile. "Your first assignment is to help us establish peaceful contact with Earth. I suspect your people will need someone they trust to explain why a fleet of alien ships is requesting permission to enter their system." James laughed, a sound that caused several Valorans to tilt their heads in fascination. "You're probably right about that. When do we leave?" "Immediately," the king replied. "The galaxy is vast, Doctor, and there are many more species out there who could benefit from human compassion and ingenuity. Our partnership is just the beginning." As James boarded the royal flagship, he reflected on how a simple distress call had transformed not just his life, but potentially the future of human-alien relations. Sometimes the most profound changes began with the simplest decision to help someone in need.